Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I'm Lisma from English Department for the University of Kuningan. So today I will to present the journals that related to my thesis. There are 10 journals that I will present. Okay, the first journal, the title is Women's Language Features Found in Female Characters Uterus in the Devil Wears Prada movie. The years is 2017 by Octaviani T. Nasir M. and Setiawati, page 220. The research formulation or problems are the first it is what are types of women's language used by females character in the Devil Wears Prada movie. And the second one is what are language functions served by women's language found in female characters uterus in the Devil Wears Prada movie. And the theoretical review, the first, the language and gender, and then women's language features, lexical hedge or fillers, the equation, raise intonation on declarative, empty adjective, precious colored tones, intensifiers, hypercorrect grammar, super polite form, avoidance of strong swear words, haptic stress, language function, expressive function, directive function, referential function, metalinguistic function, pathic function, and pathic function. And the research method of this journal, this research was conducted used by a descriptive qualitative method. And finding that found in this journal is from the first from 10 feature of women's language, only 9 features can be found in this research. There are lexical hedge or fillers, there are 7, and 3 the equation, 2 raising intonation on declaratives, 3 empty adjectives, 1 precious color terms, 10 intensifiers, 4 super polite forms, 0 hypercorrect grammar, 3 avoidance of strong swear words, and 3 empty stress. Intensifiers feature most frequently by female character, frequently used by female character in the Devil Wears Prada movie, because they want to emphasize or strengthen their uterus deeply to uh, to attract addresses attention using intensifiers. And the second finding is from 6 functions of women's language feature based on the purpose of using the language function by Jacobson. There are 3 language functions are found in this research. There are expressive function, metalinguistic function, and directive function. And the next is the second journal. The title is The Use of Women's Language Features by Kamala Harris in the Vice Presidential Debate. The years is 20 and 21. Is by Joseph B.C. Hartanti LP and Liliana A. Page 200 and HD5 until 290. The research formulation or research problem is what are type of women language feature used by Kamala Harris in this presidential debate, and the theoretical review. There are women's language features, which were lexical hedge and fillers. Lexical hedge are words that women use as a device to express their uncertainty or lack of confidence toward the information they imply. Next is the question, empty stress, phrasing intonation, empty adjectives, precise color tones, intensifiers, hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, and last one is avoidance of strong swear words. Next is research method that used in this journal. This study utilized the qualitative method to emphasize a holistic description of a particular phenomenon. Two primary data collecting sources were the fifth presidential debate transcription from ref.com and the fifth presidential debate video from NBC News on YouTube. The data analysis technique consisted of 4 steps. The first is skimming the data. The second one is interpreting. The third one is calculating the frequency, and the last one is presenting the data. Next is the finding of this journal. The result shows 5 out of 10 women's language features used by Kamala Harris in the fifth presidential debates, consisting of 11 with percentage 16% lexical age, and age with percentage 11% empty stress, 23 with percentage 33% hypercorrect grammar, 1 with percentage 1% super polite form, and 2 and 27 with percentage 39% intensifiers as its most dominant feature. However, there are no question, raising intonation on declarative, empty adjective, precise color tones, and avoidance use of swear words. The supporting evidence found in the data section shows that Kamala maintained a decent amount of women's language features and consistently managed her speech assertively to represent her confidence due to her status and role as a female politician's preserves leadership traits. Next journals, the title is Women's Language Features on Uterance of Charlie's Angel Movie. The years is 20 and 22 by Nuring Diaz S. and Nafila, page 12 until 20. The research formulation of problems are first, what are the language features used by the characters of Charlie's Angel Movie? And the second one is, what are the reasons the characters use women's language features in Charlie's Angel Movie? And then the theoretical review. The first, there is lexical H or filler H. Lexical H or filler H, a linguistic form such as the word sort of, kind of, I think, etc. While the words, well, you see, fillers are known as insignificant particles that give women a break to think about what they want to say something. Is by Koira Giuliatti 2016 and Morty 2018. And then there are intensifiers, the equation empty stress. Empty stress by Koira Giuliatti 2016 defined empty stress as an improvement of devices used to reinforce the uterine significance. Next is raising intonation on declarative, avoidance of strong swear words, super polite forms, empty adjective, precise color terms, and last one is hypercorrect grammar. Okay, the next is research method. In this journal, in analyzing women's language features, the research used qualitative descriptive. The researcher want to explore women's language feature using Lakoff theory. The process begins with collecting data documents and interpreting the data from the analysis. And the finding from this journal, the first, there are types in this journal. The first is lexical H or filler found in 3 with percentage 5.45%. And then intensifiers found it 25 with percentage 45.4%. And tech question found it 1 with percentage 1.81%. Amplic stress found it 2 with percentage 3.63%. Raising intonation on declarative found it 4 with percentage 7.27%. And avoidance strong swear words found it 5 with percentage 9.09%. And super polite forms found it 4 with percentage 7.27%. Empty adjectives found it 2 with percentage 3.63%. Precious colored terms not founded with percentage 0%. And the last one is hypercorrect grammar founded 9 with percentage 16.3%. And the second find is the reasons. The first is lexical hedging or fillers. In this movie, lexical hedging occurs when the speaker is uncertain. At the same time, fillers occur when the speaker needs a sequence of time to think. The second one is intensifiers. In this movie, intensifiers occur when the speaker wants to give a strong opinion or convince the other person. Third one is the question. In this movie, the question occurs to convenience the hearer about what the speaker said. The fourth is empty stress. Empty stress occurs when the speaker wants to strengthen the meaning of her utterance. Next is raising intonation on declarative. In this movie, raising intonation on declarative occurs to emphasize the speaker feeling. Next is avoidance of strong swear words. In this movie, avoidance of strong words occurs when the speaker wants to describe their emotional feelings. And the next is super polite forms. In this movie, super polite forms occur to give positive politeness to the hearer. Next is empty adjectives. In this movie, empty adjectives occur to explore the speaker's emotional feeling, then specific information about their opinion. Next is hypercorrect grammar. In this movie, hypercorrect grammar occurs to show that women are more likely to use standard linguistics. The next journal title is Woman Language Feature used by Elsa and Anna in Present 2 movie. This is by Tombang and Arifin MB and Ariana S. Here is 20 and 22. The page is 1,385 until 1,395. The research formulation or problems is what are the types of women's language features were found in Present 2 movie used by Elsa and Anna. The theoretical review first is sociolinguistic. According to G.A. Fishman, sociolinguistic is the study of characteristics of language varieties, the characteristic of their function, and the characteristic of their speaker as these three constantly interact, change one another within a speech community. Second one is context. Context is one of given effect to people how they use to language. Next one is language and gender. According to Eckhart, 2003, in her book entitled Language and Gender are differences in function and social roles and responsibilities of men and women who are regulated by the community. Next is women's language features. There are 10 type of women's language features. First is lexical hedge and fillers. Text question, empty, stress, resignation, empty, adjective, precious color terms, intensive verbs, hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, avoidance of strong swear words. Okay, the research method that used in this journal is this research use qualitative method research to describe researcher design, which has an aim to give description clearly about researcher. There are some processes in analyzing the data. First, the researcher selected and categorized the data based on the type of women's language features. Second, the researcher used the Lakoff theories to analyze types of women's language feature. The researcher will use the data shape to display the data. The arrangements of the codes used in the data are data number. The types of women language features and the dialogue's duration that show utterance that indicated as data. Defined in this journal, the researcher found 9 types of women's language features and 1 type were not found out from Lakoff's theory. The types of women's language feature used by the characters in Frozen 2 are lexical H or fillers is the most women's language features, about 22 out of 35 data. After that, the question, presentation, and the adjective became the least women's language feature, about found 2 from each other of 35 data in the movie. There were about 15 data indicated as intensive years. Hypercorrect grammar found 3 data. Super polite form was found about 8 data from 35 data. Avoidance of strong words 3 data and empty stress were found about 3 data. In addition, the type of women's language features which were not out is precious color term. Okay, the next journal title is Woman's Language Feature used by a woman who masquerades as a man in Mulan movie. In Mulan 2020 movie is by Yolanda Nayy and Bram B. Theirs is 2021. Page is 25 until 30H. The research formulation or problem is what are type of woman language feature used by a woman who masquerades as a man in Mulan. And the theoretical review first is language and gender. According to Eckhart and McConnell-Jinnat, 2003, language and gender are a study that discusses a relationship between gender and the use of language, which covers the gender roles and the resources of the linguistic system to construct the social meaning. And the second one is women's language features. First is lexical hedge and fillers, degradation, raising intonation, adjective, precious, colored tones, intensive fears, hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, avoidance of strong swear words, and the last one is empty stress. And next is research method. This study was qualitative research that used a document analysis method to analyze the data. And the finding from this journal, from the data, the researcher found that there were 82 Mulan's utterance in Mulan 2020 movie. For the age with percentage of 52 0.54% were her uterance as a woman named Hua Mulan, and the other 34 with percentage 41 and 46%, 41.46% were her uterance as a male named Hua Jun. From this uterance, the researcher found 60 women's language features which consists of 14 lexical H or fillers with percentage 23%, 0 take question with percentage 0%, 3 raising intonation on declarative with percentage 5%, 3 empty adjective with percentage 5%, 0 precise tone with percentage 0%, 6 intensive verbs with percentage 10%, 8 hypercorrect grammar with percentage 13%, 7 super polite forms with percentage 12%, 0 points of using swear words with percentage 0%, and the last one is 19 active stress with percentage 32%. The next journal, the title is Woman's Language Feature of Alice Lacey and the Brooklyn Movie Script. Is by Pamikat SL 2020, and the page is 60 until 79. The research formulation or problem is what are kind of woman language feature used by Alice Lacey in the Brooklyn movie script. And then the theoretical review. The first, there are movie script. So movie script is the text written of a movie. It includes instruction for the actor and direction for filming a screenplay. The next is sociolinguistic. Sociolinguistic is the study of society and language. And next is woman's language. As I told before, there are 10 type of woman's language. First is lexical H and fillers. Second is the question, raising intonation, empty adjectives, precise color terms, intensive verbs, hypercorrect grammar, super polite form, avoidance of strong swear words, and last one is empty stress. Next is research method. The research method in this journal in analyzing women's language features of Alice Lacey in the Brooklyn movie script. This research was implemented by using a descriptive qualitative method, which is supported by a quantitative method. Okay, the finding of this journal is the researcher find that there are 9 kinds of women's language features of Alice Lacey in the Brooklyn movie script. They are lexical H or fillers, the question, raising intonation on declarative, intensive verbs, super polite forms, empty stress, empty adjective, precious color tones, and hypercorrect grammar. Alice Lacey shows her lack of confidence, uncertainty, and giving high appreciation in her uterance. In addition, there is no type which cannot be found in this analysis. It is evidence of strong swear words. The next journal, the title is Woman's Language Features Used by the Female Character in Wonder Woman Movie. It's by Anjani Aldi. Year is 2019. The research formulation are what are kind of woman language feature used by female character in Wonder Woman movie, and what are the reasons of woman language feature used by female character in Wonder Woman movie. And the theoretical review is woman's language status conscious, role or guardian of the society, and subordinate. And the researcher used qualitative method by Marshall theory. The data were taken from conversation, but not all the sentences during the conversation are used. And the finding, the first is the female character employ age type for 10 type moments. Language features proposed by Lakoff and Janet Holmes. There are introductory lexical H, the question, raising intonation, empty adjectives, precious color and tone, intensive verbs, hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, avoidance of strong swear words, and empathic stress. Each of them have words, phrase, or a filler that indicated of the type. And the second finding is the study finds of that there are three main reasons why the female character decided to use woman's feature that as guardian of society or role in the society, status conscious, and subordinate. Again, the next journal, the title is Analyzing Women's Language Features, used by Lisa Alara, this in her news article by Paila MLM 2022. The research formulation is what types of women's language feature used by Lisa Alardis in her news article. The theoretical review is language and gender. Eckhart, as cited in Octapiani 2017, describes gender as a differences in function, social roles, responsibilities between man and woman, which are managed by society in her book entitled Language and Gender. Next is women's language features. Lexical hedge and fillers, the question, empty, adjective, precious color tone, intensive fears, hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, avoidance of strong swear words, empty stress, and last one is raising intonation. And next is the research method that used by this journal is descriptive qualitative method that was used to analyze the data as the research design. And the finding of this journal, there are 6 women's language feature used by Lisa Alaradis in the 3 selected news article with 74 data in total. There are lexical H or filler, which 8 data, empty adjective with 30 data, precious color terms with 3 data, intensive verbs with 14 data, hypercorrect grammar with 19 data, and empathic stress with 17 data. The dominant feature that is found in the news article is hypercorrect grammar with 19 data. Meanwhile, data from the rest of women's language features such as question text, super polite forms, confidence of strong swear words, and raised intonation on declarative are not found in the news article. Okay, the next journal. The title is A Study of Women's Language Varieties in French Movies by Hardini T.I. Dharmawangsa di Anada AG, years 20 and 17. Page is 134 until 140. Okay, the research formulation or problems is what are types of women's language feature used by Lisa Alardis in her news. What are types of women language features used by French used in French movie? And theoretical review. The first is language gender. And the second is women's language features. As I told before, there are 10 types, which are lexical H and filler, the equation, empty adjective, precious color terms, intensive verbs, hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, avoidance of strong swear words, empty stress, and the last one is raised intonation. And the research method that used in this journal is this study employs qualitative method using descriptive design. 2 is the records of uterine data. The movie has been divided into some scene. Data uterines gained from each scene was tabulated in order to obtain information needed. The analysis of this data was done based on lack of theory. And the finding is from this analysis, the following data were found. First, there are 102 1,200 uterines utered by men and women. B, there are age 840 of 1,200 uterines that are utered by woman character. C, there are only 110 uterines with percentage 13.9% of 840 uterines that are utered by woman character, which contain woman language varieties. D, besides that, there are 68% uterines with percentage age 0.9% that contain contradictive language varieties compared to women's. And E, the rest 662 uterines with percentage 78.82% are general uterines or the uterines that usually used by men or women. And the second find is the most common women's language varieties appear in this movie is raising intonation on declarative with percentage 50.9%, while the least appear is the range of precious color tones with percentage 0% and avoidance of strong swear words with percentage 0%. And the last journal is the title is Analysis of Woman Language and Social Ideologies, a case study of an animated movie Zootopia by Nauvatanakorn and Tangkieng Sirisin as years 2019. Page 1 until 35. The research formulation is what are type of woman language feature found in an animated movie Zootopia. Okay, the theoretical review. First is gender. Second is sexist language. Sexist language is the language based on sex or gender that consists of attitudes towards stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination towards the other sex in society. Naming, title, transitivity. Next is gender-lag. Gender-lag is private speaking, public speaking, storytelling, listening, asking question, conflict. Next is conversational practice, or minimal response, H, the question, comments, and directives. And the last one is critical discourse analysis, or CDA. Next is the research method. The research method that used in this journal, there's researcher use qualitative method using descriptive design. And the last one is finding in this journal. The feature used by female characters in this movie were filler or heads. Minimal responses, questioned, take question, politeness, directive compliment, and swearing language. This study also confirms that social ideologies of stereotyping and discrimination still present exist in modern society and film culture. Therefore, it is necessary to be aware of the feature and function of language and be able to interpret the social meaning embedded in language used in communication in different societies in order to understand the social context in each society. Okay, guys. Okay, so maybe that's all. The 10 journals that related on my thesis that I was present is about women's language features. Okay, so maybe that's all, and I'm so sorry if there was so many mistakes in my utterance, and also I thanks to all that have uh, give me an attention. Okay, maybe that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.